What's going on, everyone? My name is Burke, joined by my co-host, Xavier, to bring you the Week 1 Power Rankings for PICA. Now, this was definitely a very interesting week. Our Power Rankings from our post-draft had to shake up enormously to bring into the fact that a lot of teams that we thought did well didn't do as well this week. So you're going to see large changes from our post-draft power rankings.
One thing I would like to note really quick before we get into them is that I'm not going to dock anyone for this because I saw like a lot of teams doing it, but a lot of people were running very standard EV spreads, which sometimes, like if you're running a defensive mon, you want to take hits as best as possible, run 2 HP to the defense, that makes sense. If you have like a base 100 going up against another base 100, like a Victini versus a Mew, you're going to want to run max speed to at least speed tie with it because, you know, they're both big threats, you want to handle each other. But in situations such as I have a Gengar and you have a Miss Magus, for example, you wouldn't need to run max speed to outspeed it. So like I put in Timid Nature, and instead of like 252, I have like 200 EVs. I still outspeed you, but I'm also a little bit bulkier. Because any extra EVs between here and there, those are just completely wasted. There's no reason to have them there. Now I noticed this on a lot of teams, not every team, but like some. I'm not going to dock anyone for it. It's just something I want to put out there.
Well, a lot of these people are new to the format, so maybe they'll take that into consideration, start really diversifying their EV spreads, and we'll see some better, I guess is a good word, some really good team preparations in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I thought there was a lot of good team preparation week 1.
Oh yeah,
but I was just a little sad to see all the standard EV spreads. It just wasn't anything too crazy.
Well, again, we'll see what happens in the coming weeks. But anyway, let's jump in to our number 12. And I think we agree on this one.
Yes, we do.
My number 12 and Xavier's number 12 is the DMR Shadow Absols. Now, the DMR Shadow Absols, I'll give my reasoning. I didn't think they had a great draft. They've got a lot of, I said all this in the post-draft power rankings, but they've got a lot of redundant typings and whatnot. And first week they lose 5-0. Really huge against the Detroit Pincers. And maybe, this could obviously just be a one-off week. He had a bad week. And maybe next time, he does better. But he was able to have been just completely swept by Mega Ampharos at +2 speed. And to me, it's just, I thought it was a lack of preparation, because even at +2, Mega Ampharos is still slow. It's got, base like 55 speed? So even at +2, you can still have easily a Choice Scarf for that speed. And he's got such a fast team. And to just be so easily swept, to me it just seemed like he didn't prepare well enough for all the different threats. And it was just such a strong loss.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I honestly, I had pretty high hopes for him, because, he does have a lot of redundant typings. He does have a lot of stuff, it just, seems kind of unnecessary, where he could have drafted a bit better. There were probably better options for a Mega than Mega Absol when you already had a Bisharp on your team. Mm-hmm. Or maybe you could have gotten a better OUA than Bisharp and just kept your Mega Absol. Because honestly, I think Mega Absol is better than Bisharp, because it can get a lot of extra coverage moves and whatnot. But after this huge loss this week against the Detroit Pincers, it's not like he lost to someone who played bad. The Detroit Pincers did incredibly well this week. It was a really strong showing by them, but that doesn't change the fact that it was a pretty weak showing for Cedric and the Shadow Absols. So I just can't help but put him at 12. He's at the bottom of the power rankings. He's also at the bottom of the scoreboards and his division, because he got the biggest loss week 1. Mm-hmm. So this isn't ordered by like how good some people are doing. It's a culmination of things, but just the way things added up, he still should be a pro.
It's unfortunate. I want to see him do well. Then again, I want to see everyone do well. But to me, it's just it was a weak showing, and
Yes.
I had to put him down. I had to put him down at number 12, and you know it sucks, but I'm sure he's gonna do better as the season goes on.
I'm sure you'll too.
But anyway, let's move on to number 11, and I think we also agree on this one.
Oh, just all lovey-dovey agreeing.
Yeah, let's hope it changes. But at number 11, we have the Sequim Malamar. Now, we did have him at number 12 last time, and he moved up one because he did lose, but he almost won. It was he only lost because, or at least in my opinion, he only lost because of that crit on his Zygarde. Now, if he didn't get crit and he killed the Crocodile, could he still have lost? I guess, but it was just seemed very unlikely to me at that point. I mean, he was 4-3. He had a the Magmortars had a paralyzed Infernape, and it was just not looking good for him. And then he gets the crit and just sweeps the team after that point.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked his planning. I thought Trick Room right out of the gate very interesting, and it was working for him pretty well. But I still am at number 11 because he did lose, and I just still don't like his draft. I think this was a strong showing for him, even though he lost 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
And if he keeps this up, he's gonna move up. He's definitely gonna move up. But at this week, I didn't like, I still don't like his team, and I know I'm biased in that direction. You can't eliminate bias, but even though this was a really pretty strong showing this week, I'm still concerned of how he's going to do in future weeks, and I couldn't put him up any higher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with basically everything you just said. I really like the Trick Room use as well. I thought that was really cool. He used it really well, and as for that crit, I am 90% sure he would have won if it weren't for that crit, because the Middle-earth Magmortar's Mega Gardevoir did not have Shadow Ball, so it could not touch the Jirachi. It just could not touch it, and the Infernape was paralyzed, so I didn't really see how he would have brought it back if the Crocodile had gone down.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what on his team really handles the Crocodile well? That's nothing. He just was not prepared for the Crocodile. And in a way, it sucks, because he kind of put himself in a situation where a crit just beat him. So I had to put him in 11. He did do some pretty cool stuff. Aromatisse safety goggles, kind of balloon, that was really cool. But I didn't think he did. I don't think he deserves to be any higher, personally. It's just how I feel about this.
Yeah, I agree. You can't prevent hacks, but you can at least try to put yourself in a position where even if you get hacks, you minimize how much it matters. And unfortunately, in this case, it did matter.
Yeah, and I get there is the argument that hacks is part of the game, but sometimes it can just be straight up stupid. There's no arguing that. But as you said, you gotta put yourself in a situation where even if you get hacks kind of bad, you'll still be able to try and bring it back.
Yep, but Choice Scarf Crocodile,
It's a threat.
it's
Picking up
pretty good.
5 kills.
Yeah, it's probably at the top of most kills.
Yeah.
Week 1 already 5.
Mm-hmm. It's insane.
Yeah, but anyway, moving on to number 10, and now we start disagreeing.
Yes, we do.
I have the Texas Rhyhorns at number 10, and before I had him at number 5 in the post draft, but I moved him down to 10 just because I didn't think this was a good showing from him at all. He had a pretty odd team going in, and I know his team's all bulk, and I saw this as a problem during the post-draft. I saw this as a problem. I still put him high because I know his play style is slow, steady, let's chip away. But what happens if you're playing another team that has a similar strategy, but with more firing power behind it? He couldn't do anything to really push back against the Braviary's team. You know, he had like Sylveon, and he did bring, I think he brought the Tornadus, if I'm not mistaken, and the Jolteon, and he brought Arcanine, Cress, and Skarmory. And you look at that team, and it's just like, okay, Jolteon can kind of hit hard, Tornadus can kind of hit hard, but the other ones, if you're running defensive Arcanine, that's not hitting anything. Cress and Skarmory, extremely passive. Mm-hmm. And Sylveon, if it only knows Hyper Voice, you know, here's a Rotom Heat, here's, you know, whatever he had in his team to just resist it. You know, it's strong, but if you just have something to resist the Hyper Voice, it can't do anything. So his team was just too passive, and I saw this as a problem going into week 1 and for the rest of the weeks, and definitely showed. The Atlanta Braviary just, you know, that Mew was such a problem for him, and he had the Tornadus to deal with it, and then he let that go down. And then it was like, nothing to deal with the Mew. So I think it was a weak showing, plus his team, although extremely bulky, it has no firing power behind it, and that's just going to really hurt him in these later weeks. And I had to drop him down just seeing, yeah, I don't want to say, it's going to sound kind of harsh, but kind of how poorly he played it this week.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, that bulky team, it's like you just can't do too much about it. Mm-hmm. But anyway, my number 10, I feel like this is going to be like slightly controversial having him so low, but at the same time, like, hear me out. I had Josh in the Middle Earth Magmortars. Yes, he won this week. Yes, he won 3-0. Yes, he won with a Crocodile that got 5 kills, but that was, if he had not crit the Zygarde right there, he would not have won that match. I feel very confident in saying that. He would have not have won. He would have gotten at least like 4-0 to 3-0 if he had not killed the thing with a crit. Because I had calced it with a 0 HP, 0 defense, that Earthquake at +1 Adamant Nature would have done about 60% when that thing had like 78%. And that's not even taking into account his EV spread, which I'm sure he had some defensive investments. And just, I mean, he did pretty good. And he has a really good team. It's just, I just feel like he got outplayed. I still put him at number 10 ahead because he did win, but at the same time, like, it did give him a win, did give him maybe some confidence, but if he doesn't, like, start picking things up, then his luck won't last forever like that. I definitely think he can do well, it's just that he only really won because of hacks, and I can't really judge him if he only won because of hacks. Like, I don't think I can fairly put him at a super high spot.
Nah, I see your point. I mean, I have him higher just because I thought he did win, and that just puts him out of the gate at a much better spot. But I'll talk about that when I get to him.
Yeah.
But anyway, number 9, and I think we still disagree, I have the Chelsea Shandies at number 9. He has one of, at least I think, the best teams. But I didn't see it this week. You know, he brought a good team to go against. He was playing the Iowa Focus Energy. He brought a good team, but I didn't see him use it well. Like, it's one thing to draft a good team, it's another thing to use the good team. So I didn't see him use it well, and even though he has it, I just seeing that he lost this week, and what was it, like is it 2-0 or a 3-0?
Yes, it was a 2-0.
It's a 2-0, and it wasn't a large loss, but just seeing that he lost to a team who, and this is no offense to Nick, whose team I just thought was better. And looking at the matchup, I thought he just had the superior matchup that week. But the team just absolutely fell apart. And I had to drop him down to number 9 from number 3, just because I don't seeing that loss, I don't know how well he's going to do this season. And I want to see him do well because of his, he's got this great team, and I really want to, and I say this for every single team, I want to see them do well. But I don't know. It's going to require me to see how he does in the coming weeks to get a better estimate of his skill. Now, next week, he might blow out his opponent and get like a 5-0 or a 6-0 and move back up, and this just could have been a bad week for him. But as far as I can see it, the only thing I had to judge him on was his draft, and seeing that I wasn't very impressed by how he used it, I'm putting him at number 9.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of things you said there. But at my number 9, I had Hayden. Now, I don't have too many things to say about Hayden because he doesn't upload like Team Builder or his side of the battle, so I don't really know any of his thought processes, which makes it a bit harder to judge him. And now, all the things you said earlier, I 100% agree with. He just didn't have the offense he needed. It's just, he had so much trouble. And it was still a really long battle, just due to the fact that his defense was so thick. His opponent just had a lot of trouble breaking through it. He did almost have some success with a Calm Mind Cresselia. Like, I thought that was going pretty well, but he couldn't do it, because that was he didn't have too many things to really break through his opponent's team. His opponent had brought a defensive Mew that he couldn't do much about it, because it just kept roosting. And he didn't have the attack power to bring it down to death, because it could just keep roosting. I definitely see that Pokemon that are really bulky with reliable recovery being a problem for him in the future. Unless they have Moonlight, which has a really low PP. But Pokemon such as Mew with Roost or Slowbro with Slack Off, all those things, I can definitely see him struggling with those in the future.
Yeah, especially Regenerator.
Oh, and Regenerator Pokemon. I'm not sure at the moment, but if someone has a good Regenerator core in their team, oh wait, the Chelsea Shandies do, don't they?
They might.
I believe they have the Tangrowth Slowking.
Yes, they do have Tangrowth Slowking.
Yeah, so I definitely see him having trouble with that in the future. I can definitely see him doing well, but he has to prepare very well, which I can definitely think he can do. He just has to prove it.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be really hard for him. I just see the lack of any offense on his team. It's just going to really, really hurt him.
Yeah, he has select things, but even those select things don't even get that good coverage. The Sylveon doesn't get much coverage, the Jolteon doesn't get much coverage. There's just not too much you can do with him.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I love Jolteon.
But it only gets Thunderbolt, Signal Beam, Shadow Ball, and a Hidden Power.
Yeah, it's not good coverage. Tornadus.
If he's real, he can run Choice Banded Double Kick, but I don't think he's that real.
Yeah, Jolteon, not very good coverage. The Golurk is just so he says it's good, I just don't see him bringing it.
I mean, Golurk's decent, but when you can honestly say Golurk is one of your best offensive Pokemon on your team, that is a bad thing.
Yeah, and Hitmonlee also, he's got a select few offensive pressures, but they don't work together very well as an offensive core. Maybe Jolteon Tornadus, just because he got some Volt turning action.
Yeah,
but it's a pretty tenuous grasp at that point. But anyway, moving on to number 8. I have the Middle-earth Magmortars. And I know you have him much lower. And I do agree that most likely he would have lost if he didn't get the crit. But I put him ahead of the other two because he was playing very well. I thought he was playing very well, and I think he planned pretty damn well. I'm not putting him any higher just because I don't think he would have won if he didn't get that crit. But he did win. It puts him in a better position than other teams, at least some of the other teams that had lost. But, you know, I'm not sure how well he's going to do in the future. Just because that was a very close game. Very, very close. It wasn't a very good win for him. And so I don't know how well that's going to work for him in the future. He might have been a bad week for him, and then next week he just does amazing. But again, I don't have that foresight. So I put him at 8 because he did win. Although, again, I'm unsure about how he's going to do in future weeks.
Yeah, that's very similar to how I feel about it. But, yeah, my number 8, I had the Chelsea Shandies, Coach and Mikey. And I don't believe you mentioned this. I agree with most of the stuff you said earlier, but I don't think you mentioned this. His opponent had a Cobalion, a Fortress, a Rotom Mow, and a Raikou. 4 Pokemon that learned Volt Switch, and he did not bring his Ground-type Quagsire. So his opponent could just freely Volt Switch on every one of his Pokemon. Like, in team preparation, I don't see exactly how you can miss something like that. And I just think that's one of the things that really killed him during the match, because his opponent just kept getting initiative like that, and he just kept getting it over and over and over again because he couldn't stop it. There was nothing he could do about it. Yeah, because he had a Thunderous Eye. He has Thunderous Eye, correct?
Yeah, if it was Thunderous T, that would definitely stop the Volt Switching.
That would stop the Volt Switch, but he has the Thunderous Eye, so nothing on his team could really switch in to a Volt Switch and stop it dead in its tracks. Mm-hmm. So his opponent could just keep getting initiative all over him. Like, I don't see how you miss something that huge in team preparation. And overall, I don't think he did bad. He was almost able to bring it back with the Mega Charizard X Dragon Dancing, but he had a full health Azumarill that his opponent preserved, so he couldn't really sweep him. But yeah, I think he can do good in the future, because he didn't lose that badly. I feel like it was mainly just that not thinking about Volt Switch was the main reason he lost. But I just can't put him higher if he didn't realize something like that, and since he did lose to a team that we did have pretty low in the power rankings before. And I don't know, I can definitely see him doing better. And I know we say that about everyone, but with him, I really, really mean it. I definitely can see him doing good. But for now, it's just, I want to believe in him, but it's hard.
Yeah.
This loss.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I hope he does better, just because I love the team. I love his team. And I want to see it do well. I want to see it do really well. But, moving on. Number 7. Number 7, I have the Washington Red Shells. I had him at number 2. I love, there are a few teams that I just absolutely love. And his team is one of them. I thought it had a great team, very good core, and defensive core, offensive core. He's just got crazy coverage, and he lost the Toronto Tarantrums, which I don't like their team as much, but I think they're very good. I think because he did very well, last season. But it was a 4-0. It was a really, really big victory for the Tyrantrums. And I wasn't a huge fan of the planning, because you look at what got all the kills. It was the Mega Diancie. He didn't have much for the Mega Diancie. He had Mega Aggron, but that's not a counter. I mean, Earth Power, still going to hit the Mega Aggron really hard, even with Filter. Mega Aggron has lackluster HP and special defense. And I didn't see great planning from the Red Shells this week. I just thought his planning was lackluster. He didn't have much to wall, or at least it didn't seem like he brought much to wall things like Diancie. And it showed, because the Diancie was just able to kill 4 of his mons, and you don't get something like that unless it's a sweep like the Crocodile. So I thought the planning wasn't nearly as good as it should have been. I'm not saying he should have won that game, but I don't think it should have been if he planned well, it should have been a 4-0 loss. But I still am at 7, just because I think his team is great. He is a very good battler, and I know he can bring it back. I'm very confident that he will be able to bring it back. But right now, I have him at 7 just because he lost. He not only lost, he lost big this week. So.
Yeah. I agree with a lot of the stuff you said. I also had him at 7. Now, you said he wasn't really well prepared for the Diancie, which in a way he wasn't. He didn't have much to do to it. But one thing that really killed him was he accidentally changed his Victini's EVs, forgetting about Hidden Power. And he originally had Hidden Power Steel. But it got changed to Hidden Power Ghost. He would have been able to kill off the Diancie earlier, like I believe when he had like 4, 3, or 5 Pokemon left. But instead, he just realized he had Hidden Power Ghost instead of Steel, so he could only U-turn on it, which really messed him up.
Did forget about that one.
Yeah, I just watched his things like a little earlier, so I remembered this. So I mean, it would have been closer. Like, I definitely can't say he would have won because it was a 4-0 with one little mistake. Like, it would have been a closer match at least. He might have won if he had been able to deal with the Diancie better, but I definitely can't say he would have won. He lost to a top contender in the league, so it's not like it's a really bad loss. I do think he has one of the better teams, and honestly, personally, one of my favorite teams, because he just has so many Pokemon that I love. So, like, I am a little bit biased in that regard, but at the same time, you can't deny it's a good team. Yeah,
just one thing I wanted to add that I remembered. He let the Pangoro go down, which I thought was very unfortunate for him. That was his only way to deal with the Umbreon. Like, you look at anything on his team, what deals with the Umbreon well? The Pangoro.
I suppose maybe the Blissey could Toxic it, and then switch out with Natural Cure.
But Umbreon gets Heal Bell. It
depends on what he's running, I guess.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact Umbreon set.
But at the same time, what's an Umbreon going to do to a Mega Aggron?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, the Mega Aggron can't do much back to it. So, if you can't kill something, like, eventually the Umbreon would have won. Because the Umbreon does have Foul Play. It would have done crap damage. The Mega Aggron doesn't have recovery. So, I mean, we can talk about like a one-on-one match between Umbreon and Mega Aggron. It's just his thing to deal with that Umbreon died.
Yeah, he shouldn't have
decently early, and without it, it's much harder to see him win. So,
I believe the main reason the Pangoro went down, though, I forget exactly how it happened because my memory isn't the best. Just gonna put that out there.
Neither is mine.
So, anyone in the comments or anything, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe his Pangoro got burned by I think it was a Scald. I forget, I think it was from the Blastoise. I think it switched into the Blastoise and got scalded and got burned, so that's
never want to risk that.
Yeah, he shouldn't have risked it, but at the same time, it's not like it was 100% just him using it badly.
Yeah, I'm not saying he used it badly, but things like burns and paralyses are almost useless. Well, I was just like, they're almost useless against a team with Blissey, because Blissey gets Heal Bell. I mean, I know they suck, but it's something easily rectified, and then you let the Pangoro go down. It's just, it's hard to deal with the Tyrantrum's defensive core, especially when you let something needed to take it down go down yourself. So I just thought it wasn't fantastic playing, and yeah.
And one last thing I would like to note about him is that in the MVL, he went, I believe it was 5-6, but still won the playoffs. So, you know, maybe his record, like, he can come in clutch sometimes, I guess.
Yeah,
You never really know with him.
Yeah, again, like, he's another team, just like the Shandies, that I think can really do well. Really, really do well. But I just didn't see it this week.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on to number 6. I don't remember if you agree on this or not, but anyway, I have the Iowa Focus Energy at number 6. And I'm at number 6. I'm still not a fan of the team. I know I'm biased in that, but he played very well this week, and he beat the team that, you know, we were unsure of how well they were, how good they are, but team, you know, one of the best drafts in the league, and he beat them pretty handily. It's a 2-0, and his team is, you look at his team, it's so offensive. You look at his team, like, what did he bring? That's a dedicated wall, the Fortress, and that's it. He's got Weavile, Latias, Azumarill, Cobalion, and Raikou, and I guess Cobalion you could consider a wall, but he brought a lot of Volt Switchers so he could continually switch into his most offensive Pokemon, like the Azumarill, like the Weavile, and if it's Cobalion or Fortress going for Volt Switch, into the Raikou. And he was able to really effectively use his team and take down the big threats on the Shandy's team. And yeah, I was very impressed by that. So I did move him up to 6. I'm still unsure about how this team is going to fare and how he's going to do. You know, it was a 2-0, so it wasn't like a 5-0 or a 4-0 victory. That's just like really strong out of the gate showing. But it was a good victory nonetheless, and you know, I gotta put him up higher on the power rankings.
I agree with a lot of the things you just said. One main reason that I don't put him higher than 6 is just I see his team being rather predictable. Like, I can definitely see Latias especially coming every single week, because from a defensive standpoint, like the types that he can be super weak to, the coverage that he's super weak to, Latias handles that, which is good. You have a way to handle your weaknesses, but at the same time, you have one way to handle your main weaknesses. So it's like you're going to be forced to bring that same thing over and over and over again, which just eventually will get kind of predictable. Someone will have like a choice scarf of a deal with it. People will just adapt to it better. He did preserve his Azumarill really well to the end, which prevented the Charizard X from being able to sweep him, which was very good on his part. He, as you said before, he could just Volt Switch all over him, which allowed him to use his team very effectively since it is just so offensive. But I don't think I can put him high, like up with the other people, mainly due to the fact that I feel like he needs to prove himself in the next few matches. I could definitely see him moving up into a higher position if he can keep on winning. But as you said, he did verse one of the people whose skill level we weren't sure of at all. Yeah,
I mean, again, I can see him doing well. From this week, I can see him doing well. I'm not entirely certain, and he's gone from, I think, number 10 in the pre-draft in my rankings to 8th and 6th. This rate, he's just continually going up, so I'm looking forward to seeing how he does in the future, but right now he's number 6.
Yeah. I mean, he has shown in the past that he can move up, so like he might do it again.
Mm-hmm. So, moving on to number 5, we have the Vespiquen Park Rangers. Now, I know some of you are going to be very happy that he's no longer at number 1. I had to move him down to number 5, and I think you agree on this one?
I do agree on this one, number 5.
Yeah, he had to be moved down to number 5, just because I did not like his showing this week. You know, I think he has one of the best drafts, and he is one of the most consistent battlers, and I think he can bring it back, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But this week, he didn't bring, I don't think he planned that well, and he didn't play that well. It's not a large victory, but it's still a 2-0 victory against a team whose draft we thought, I'm a little unsure about that one. Didn't seem too good. You know, he's drafted a lot of odd things, drafted a few redundant typings, but the Bastiodons were able to just outplay the Park Rangers almost at every turn that match, and come out with a 2-0 victory. So I definitely see this as a weak showing from the Park Rangers, and he can definitely do well in the coming weeks. But starting out with a loss after doing so well in the previous league, I'm not sure how he's going. You know, it's going to come down to how does he react to it, and can he pull this around immediately?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also had him at number 5. Now, I know some people are probably going to be wondering, like, hey, why is he still in the top 6? Because top 6 is, like, people that we think will make playoffs, because I believe 6 people make the playoffs.
Something like that.
Yeah, so, like, top 6 is, like, people who will probably make playoffs from what we think. That we think will make playoffs.
And this is only week 1.
Yeah,
so this is still going to change.
Like, this is just these are very loose predictions. Like, at this point, even, like, we don't have much to go on. But anyway, so people may be wondering, he lost week 1. Why is he still number 5? That's still playoff potential. And the reason I feel like he should be there is because he did release a video, like, shortly after his match, where he was talking about how upset he is that he's been playing bad recently, and he just feels like he's been doing bad, and, you know, he's done with that. He's not gonna accept just doing his best. He wants to win. So, I mean, if he lives up to his words, he's gonna move back up. But if he's all bark and no bite, then he's gonna be moving down. But other than that, he wasn't prepared for Heliolisk. It seemed like his only thing that could take a water type hit in the Heliolisk had Surf. The only thing that could take a water type hit was the Manaphy, and he let that go down really early. Mm-hmm. And nothing else on his team could really take a water type hit. And it's just, yeah, that thing was able to kind of put in work. And even if he kept the Manaphy, it was only there to be good as a good pivot, since it also had an electric type move. He just wasn't prepared for Heliolisk. And, you know, he did lose to a team that we did consider pretty low, but I don't know. I feel like part of it wasn't just him doing bad. It was also the Birkenstead Bastiodons showing that they are a force to be reckoned with. Potentially.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, that we haven't shown where the Bastiodons are yet, so they have to be higher than the Park Rangers. So obviously we consider them a big threat. I mean, but we're not talking about them yet. We will talk about them when we get to them. But I want to see him just like everyone else. I want to see everyone do well, and that doesn't mean win every week. That just means, like, I think plan better. And
yeah,
it was just,
I don't care if, like, people are, like, keep losing, as long as I know that they're doing good and trying their best and, like, performing well. Like, I don't want to see someone getting 5-4, 6-0 week to week. Mm-hmm. I just want people to, like, I want to see some good matches.
Yeah. And in my opinion, like, it just, I don't think he played that well this week. Don't think he played that well. I don't think he planned that well. And I moved him down to 5. So I moved him down to 5. Maybe some other people might think you should move him down lower. I don't agree. I don't really care who disagrees. But again, if in the next few weeks he keeps losing, he's going to move down. He's going to continue to move down, especially if he loses. But if he pulls it around and starts playing better, he's going to move back up. That's about as much as I can say.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think we've talked enough about the Park Rangers. Moving on to number 4.
I know that one's going to be so controversial. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how people react.
Yep, definitely going to be interesting. But number 4, we have, or at least I have, the Atlanta Braviary at number 4. The Atlanta Braviary won against Texas Rhyhorns, who has the bulkiest team in the league by far. And he was able to just pretty much outplay the Rhyhorns through that whole match. Now, I know Hayden said he misclicked, I think twice or something. It happens. But it seemed like pretty inconsequential misclicks. I might be wrong about that, but I think, you look at the two teams, and Ty, I think, planned well. He brought what his team is designed around. It's bulky offense. You got Mew, you got Miss Magius, you got Rotom Heat, you got Tentacruel. Diggersby, not bulky, but Salamence does have both behind it. And when you have a team, like, he made sure that, I think Mew was defensive. I don't remember if it had Heal Bell, but I would not be surprised if it had something like that on it. And even if not, he has Miss Magius, which could have Heal Bell on it. And he brought a lot of defense to counter the Rhyhorns' defense. And I didn't put him any higher. It was a 3-0 victory, and it's very strong showing from the Atlanta Braviary. I couldn't put him any higher just because I know I had the Rhyhorns higher in the post-draft power rankings. I see now, it's like you're playing a team it's like you're just punching at a brick wall, or like with a sledgehammer. You're eventually going to take it down, and that wall will fall eventually. It's not going to do much back to you. And you can see that it was a hell of a long battle, and the Atlanta Braviary was just able to chip away and chip away and chip away. Eventually, the team just fell through, and there wasn't really much that the Rhyhorns can do. So, definitely, I think it was a strong showing, but I'm still... I just... His team, to me, is still kinda... It's slow, and it just doesn't have much of a bite either. But he was able to definitely play very well and win against the Texas Rhyhorns.
So, one thing I wanted to note on what you said earlier about Hayden misclicking is something you really have to be prepared for when it comes to stall. Is it's going to get really repetitive. It's going to take a while, and to an extent it can become kind of mind numbing. You're just clicking the same moves over and over again, and this has happened to me before, where I'll just be clicking the move over and over again, trying to whittle things down, and like they're not doing much damage back to me. And then to an extent where I forget to click my recovery move, and I almost die because of that. Like, you just got to be really prepared for that going up against a bulky team that it can take a while, and you just got to keep your head in the game. Which is the main thing I'd like to know.
All right.
Anyway, moving on to my number 4, I had the Berkhamsted Bastiodons. I had them at number 4. They took down the Titan of number 1, Socrates. They were putting on some great offensive pressure, and I just feel like they were doing really well the entire match. Like, it was going back and forth at some points, and he was holding a good lead for a while, but when I was looking at the team matchups, I noticed, hey, it looks like a late game, potentially Excadrill can sweep. Excadrill did get 2 kills in the match, but he prevented this by preserving his Seismitoad at high health. And his opponent really didn't have many ways to deal with Seismitoad. Didn't have enough grass coverage, I guess. And that Seismitoad, he was just able to keep it at a really high health, and it just prevented Xavier from sweeping him. Like, there was nothing he could do to get around his defense. And I didn't really like his team. I'm still not too huge a fan of his team, but it's nice to know that he's proved that he knows how to use it, at least. Like, I definitely thought all those NUs were pretty questionable. Seismitoad, I do like Seismitoad as an NU. I thought Seismitoad was pretty good. Heliolisk and the Zapdos, I was like a little iffy on. Like, I didn't know why got Heliolisk, but I guess Heliolisk proved its worth a bit. Skuntank was another Pokemon I didn't really like. I mean, I guess it did its job to an extent. It defogged, and I believe he tried to set up screens with the Mesprit, so I guess that was a pretty good call on him to bring that.
Yeah, I think it's funny. Just a little bit. He brought 3 of his defoggers this week: Crobat, Zapdos, and Skuntank.
Yeah, he brought Skuntank as his defogger when he already had a Zapdos and a Crobat.
But I think Zapdos is definitely more offensive. So
if
you're on an offensive Zapdos, you want to defog.
Yeah. But, I mean, I think it was a really strong showing for the Birkenstead Bastiodons, and I definitely think they can do really well in the future. And another thing, like, about them that is kind of scary if you think about it, is they didn't bring 2 of their scariest Pokemon, like a Gallade and the Coupon Bound. So, what we just saw what he can do with some of his lesser threats. So, like, when he decides to whip out the huge power, OUA, Mega, and Coupon Bound, which may or may not go Ubers eventually, we'll see how he does when that happens.
Yeah, he also didn't even bring Feraligatr, which, that thing sets up a Dragon Dance. Imagine how hard that is. That's just gonna hit his entire team. So, he didn't bring a lot of offensive pressure that he could have brought, and he still won. And number 3 for me was the Burkham Bastodons. I put him at 3 because he did, in my opinion, he took down, one of the teams we thought was number 1, and he took him down without all that offense. I think he planned very well, and he played very well. And the reason that I have him above, one of the reasons I have him above the Atlanta Braviary is he beat a team that I think is better. We'll see when the Texas Rhyhorns play the Vespertine Park Rangers, but I think the Vespertine Park Rangers have a better team, and I think Socrates is a very good battler, and he was able to dismantle the team pretty well. And I think he's probably going to be one of the more consistent battlers, just looking at how well he did this week. So I've got number 3.
Yeah, he did very well. And my number 3, I had the Atlanta Braviary, and I like Hayden. Hayden's a cool guy, but I hate his team. I hate Stahl so much with a burning passion, and he just destroyed those fat walls. Took a while, but he did it, which is satisfying to me to an extent. Just to see those fat walls fall. It's just, it's so annoying. And he was in control most of the time, though, even though it was a really long battle, and it was I believe it was only like a 2-0. It was a 3-0. Yeah, so that is a pretty good differential, actually. But yeah, honestly, like, he was in control a lot of the time. It didn't, Hayden did almost get that Calm Mind Cresselia to work, but, like, he was able to work around it, and yeah, it wasn't really too big a problem for him. I was a little surprised that Ty brought the Will-O-Wisp as Magus. I thought he had some bad memories of that in the ISL. That Will-O-Wisp as Magus, that thing, it wrecks Honchko, I'll tell you that much. But, anyway, yeah, I just think he did really well. He was in control, he paired well. He did what he had to do to dismantle the walls that Texas Rhyhorn had. And I just think it was a really strong showing for him, and it'll be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how he does in the future.
That it is. I think he started out very well, and let's see if he can keep the momentum going.
And he does have a very good team. Maybe not like the best team, but it's definitely a really good team.
Yep. And number 2, This was a both my number 3 and number 2. They were huge jumps from the post-draft power rankings. I have the Detroit Pincers at number 2, and I think you do too.
I do.
The Detroit Pincers got a 5-0 victory. It was such a strong showing, and he swept with the most unlikely of Pokemon being Mega Ampharos. He set up.
Come through.
Yeah, like no, I'm not saying Mega Ampharos is bad. I think it's a good Pokemon. I don't think it's good in this format, just because it hits hard, but it's really slow. It's got a lot of common weaknesses, like Dragon. Like the most offensive weaknesses: Dragon, Ice, Ground, Fairy. You know, a lot of weaknesses from very offensive typings. He was able to just completely work around that, set up an agility, and then just sweep. And I guess in this kind of format where you don't have to Mega Evolve first turn, it can work better because then you don't have that Ice and Dragon weakness and Fairy weakness starting out. But most of his team didn't even have to, some of his team didn't even have to hit the field. And it was just, I know the DMR Shadow Absols, we didn't put them high on the rankings, obviously, in the post-draft. And on the, week 1, they're number 12. So I know it's not he wasn't going against one of the teams we thought was much better. However, he just showed how well he can use his team and how much how good he's planning and how much he wants to win. So I had to put him at number 2. Just because right out of the gate, he gets a 5-0 against a team that is extremely offensive. Like, you look at the Detroit Pincers team and the DMR Shadow Absols team, the Shadow Absols have a more offensive team, much more offensive team. And he was able to out-offense that team. So, I definitely think he's going to do very well, especially looking at this 5-0 victory right off the gate.
Yeah. I also had him number 2. Like, the 5-0, I believe that puts him in first place in the entire league. So he is technically top of the league right now. And I definitely think his draft is really good. I like a lot of the Pokemon on it. And he just performed so well. Like, anyone who can get a Mega Ampharos sweep, honestly, just deserves some respect, because Mega Ampharos it's generally, as you said, not the best Pokemon in the world, but apparently he can make it work, and he did have some good defensive Pokemon on his team to deal with this offensive team. He had the Heatran, he had the Chestnut, and I think the Flygon was a defensive set.
Yeah, it was his Defog.
Yeah, it had like Defog, Stealth Rocks, I think, if I remember correctly. And then he had his offensive Pokemon, Mamoswine and Mega Ampharos and Alakazam. And he managed to just dismantle the team and just deal with it very well, and just very impressive showing from him. And yeah, I definitely can see him sticking up here at the top. And it's just going to be interesting if he can get some more Mega Ampharos sweeps in the future.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to how well he does in the coming weeks. He is technically number 1 because of differential, and unless you got a 6-0, there's not much you can do. Not much you can do better. And he did so well. I had to put him at number 2. It just seemed like what other team did as well as he did, and even though it is against a team that was not as good as we thought it, it's still just such a strong showing, and I think he's just going to bring that momentum to future weeks.
And another thing he did, which I thought was pretty impressive, is he scouted for the Hidden Power Ground on the Chandelure, I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe the Chandelure Latias, and predicting like some random things like that is a very good thing to do in this format, because you never know what someone's going to run.
Yeah, he's definitely the plays he was making. immediately predicting hidden power ground on a Chandelure. That's a really good prediction right out of the gate. So I can see he was definitely on his A game for that battle. And if he can continue on that A game, it's going to be very hard to stop him.
It definitely will. He has really strong showing from him this week, and I'm going to be really interested in how he does in the future.
Definitely.
You can keep this up or not.
All right. Last but not least, if you were crossing out the names, then you know who's number one. It is the Toronto Tyrantrums.
Yordi.
Yep. 4-0 victory against what I thought was the second best draft in the league. Against the previous NBL Season 1 champion. You know, someone I thought that was going to do a lot better, and the Tyrantrums dismantled him this week. Absolutely strong showing, and I know he's a very good battler. Very, very good. Did very well in the NBL. He has not my favorite draft. Definitely a good one. Like, I don't look at any draft and I say, oh, this is a really bad draft. But it wasn't one of my favorites, but he was able to just use it extremely effectively. Granted, the lack of hidden power steal on the Victini definitely helped, but it was just a really good showing in his planning and in his playing. I didn't see anyone better to put at number one than him. He's a very consistent battler, very good battler, very good planner, and it definitely showed this week.
Yeah, he definitely did very well, beating one of the best teams in the league, and that's why I had him at number one as well. If you hadn't already figured that out, and yeah, he just did really well. His Diancie was able to put in a lot of work, partially due to the lack of hidden power steal, but at the same time, hindsight, 2020, you never really know what could have happened. Because a lot of things that can happen in a battle. A crit can happen, a burn from a flamethrower can happen, a full paralysis can happen. You just never know what's going to happen. And you can say what if all you want. At the end of the day, what happened, I guess. So, he did really well. Strong 4-0 victory, second best in the league currently. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I definitely can see him being very consistent. And I definitely think he's one of the biggest contenders overall. Possibly the biggest.
Yeah, he's second in the league. And I definitely, just like the Detroit Pincers, I see him doing very well in future weeks. I definitely see him being very hard to take down. And I can... Again, this is week 1. So it's not like, he's making the playoffs. I don't know. Yeah. He might all of a sudden start losing. He might lose 10 weeks in a row after this.
For all we know, the teams that we put in the top 6 are going to end up losing the rest of their matches or something.
Yeah, we don't know. But for right now, we both see him as probably the best contender to make the playoffs right now.
Because just one thing that just has to be remembered, this is 100% just opinionated, never know what's going to happen. Because the person I had at 11 is now at 4 for me. Everything can change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the person I had at, 10, now at 3, 9, now at 2, 1, now at 5. Yeah, things are going to change, and they're going to continue to change.
Yeah, huge differences now, and I think that's all we have to say.
Yep, that is the Week 1 Power Rankings. If you disagree with us, please put your own power rankings in the comment section below.
Tell us how stupid we are.
Yeah, tell us how stupid we are. Tell us that the Park Rangers should have been number 12. I'll laugh at that comment, but it can be there.
Yeah.
And let us know what you think. So, that's all we got for today. My name is Burke. His name is Xavier.
Hello.
And we'll see y'all later.
Bye.